So I rechecked my overall dimensions front to back and also side to side, and I checked the diagonals both ways, and the foundation is correct and it's square. So I'm going to be able to just hold my chalk line in a 1/2 inch and frame to the brick. No need to make any adjustments. I'm putting the cupping pattern of the tree rings facing down. Two by four walls will be flush with the outside of the green plate. So I'll snap lines, all 4 lines, 3.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out my walls, and like I talked about, I'm laying them out front to back. This is the side wall will go up after the front wall. So I'll be butting my tape to the front wall to get the length of the plate. But I need to get my 16 on center layout. So I'm going to hook it at first and go down here and mark the longest 16 on center I can get out of a 16-foot plate. Then I'll come back and I'll butt to the chalk line, which is basically the wall. So that plate's going to be 188 3/8. The center mark represents the end of my plate, so I butt to that. Then I come down here to the corner and I mark 127.5 to the chalk line, which represents the outside wall. And like I mentioned, I'm laying it out from right to left. So the outside wall, the back wall rather, is going up first. So I hook it here and I go get my longest dimension on a 16 center, which is 16 feet. So this plate is 192, 16 feet. So I butt my tape measure to that 192 mark, which is my 16 center. And I go down here and I mark another 192. So now I just hook on the end and I come down here to my mark. So my last plate will be 58 7/8. So I do the same thing on the left side. To maintain my layout, I hook to the outside of the wall, and then I go down here and find my longest 16 on center. I mark the 16 on center, but then I button my tape to the chalk line, which represents the inside of the front wall, and then I measure and get my length for my wall plates. And it's the same as the other side, 188 3/8. So again, I butt to the chalk line and I measure back to that last 16-inch on center, and that'll give me my length of wall plate to finish. 127 7/16, just like the other side. And I'll do the same thing to the front wall, again laying out from right to left. Now, after I put a 192 inch here and the next 192, it's going to break in the center of the header of the utility door. So I'll walk around and get all my numbers and cut all my plates. So I picked through all my plates and found the straightest ones I could get. And I cut all the plates. and set them in place. Coming in 3.5, that'll help me line this wall up on this chalk line to make sure I'm locating it correct. Now I'll start my marks for my layouts. Mark all my kings and jacks at the door openings first. Then do my 16 centers. And since I'm hooked on the end, I'm going to every 16 center mark and dropping back 3/4. Come in 4.5 and mark my corner post. Very important that the end of your plates are exactly where they need to be before you start your layout. So this set of plates was hanging over this chalk line 3.5 inches. This set of plates is butted up to this chalk line. So laying the sidewall out front to back, I cut 3.5 inches here because it's equivalent to being hooked to the front of this wall. I go forward 16, drop back 3/4, and that's my first mark. So I'll drive a nail on my first mark, that being the edge of the stud. Now I can hook to that nail and finish my layout. Make sure the end of your plates didn't move off that chalk line. same thing on the other side wall on the left side of the building. Laying out front to back. I cut 3.5 here. Go forward. Go to 16 on center. Drop back 3/4. That's the edge of my first layout. Mark it. Drop it now. Make sure I stay on the chalk line. Continue to lay out. I'll build 4 corner posts. They'll be solid. So now just take the plates down, spread them apart, lay the studs in on their marks, crown the studs up, nail it together. So one of our framing subcontractors, FrameX, loaned me one of their crews for one day, and they got this done in about 8 hours, and that helped me out tremendously. And now it's raining. So the only thing they didn't get done was blocking the butt joints in the sheeting to maintain the nail pattern. So that's all I've got left to do. that and put the felt on the roof and the house wrap. But this gets inspected before house wrap. The city inspector checks the nail pattern in the sheeting.